This is today's live on Equa Television International. We're so glad that you could join us on today's edition of the program. Like always, on Mondays, we talk about work. We talk about your craft. We talk about God's gift to you. We talk about your businesses, your hustle, and all of that. And today is not going to be different. We're talking about making the most of your craft. Have you gotten to that point of your life where you identified your craft, and not just identifying your craft, but you're actually making the most of it? If not, it will be good that you stay with us on today's edition of the show. And today we are privileged to actually have a guest on the show. And he's somebody who was born and from Mangu local government, and hails from a village called Sapal. I hope I got that so well, so that Mangu people would not stone me. And he has obtained a bachelor's of arts in fine arts, painting, and masters in theater art, PhD in art as well. And his works like cut across painting, academia, theater, and I know you would like to hear from him, you would like to meet him. I'm talking about someone who is actually a lecturer with the Fine Arts Department, Faculty of Arts, University of Jos. He's no other person but Dakes Ephraim, PhD. Good morning and welcome to today's live.
Good morning. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you for making me part of this program. I'm glad to be here actually after a long time. It's beautiful to be here. It's nostalgic and it's refreshing. Seeing the colors in the studio, it gives me a lot of memory to keep and to maintain.
Especially as somebody that is into that
yes,
field.
Yes, very mesmerizing. If you permit me to say, whoever is behind creation of this must be very creative and must be someone who is in tune with the times that we're in. Thank you very much.
We must give it to our one and only GM, Engineer Tudi J. Nakali. We talked about the man behind this, and we really appreciate him. And my teammates, as always, they are here seated and ready to talk about craft and the importance. Jamima Emmanuel Sambo Solomon, good morning.
Good morning, Joyce.
You're looking so refreshing, like it's TGIM.
It's Monday.
All right, so
like some we say, we don't have option.
I'm sure that nobody dragged you to the office.
No,
you came happy.
You just have to be happy and just to keep pushing, doing what you're supposed to do at the right time.
Exactly.
So that's just it.
So talking about making the most of your craft, like we live in a time where you don't have any other choice than to make, otherwise like you will suffer. You will suffer. Some people tell you see Shege Pro Max. But let's just have an overview, and I'm starting with Mr. Dakes Ephraim. Like can you give us an overview of what craft entails so that our viewers will have an understanding into what we are discussing today?
Okay, craft is simple. Craft is an intentional recreation of a piece, an object that is functional, that is a utility, that is also decorational. Craft is an ability to skillfully come up with a piece of an object.
Okay.
It could be domestic. It could be a functional tool that could be used in a place of creation of beauty, or creating something that suggests some form of appeal to the person looking at it, viewing at it. Something that you can also pay money to acquire. That could be termed craft. Sometimes they will say you are very crafty.
Yes.
Or they will say art and crafts in secondary school and primary school. So craft is what you can do vocationally. Sometimes you're not necessarily taught how to craftily create it. Sometimes it can be intuitive. Sometimes it can be learned. But whichever way it is, there has to be what we call skill. Skill in some way again is wisdom. Ability to display and apply what you have perceived and what you think could be the end product of what you are doing. So that's craft. And it is either learned or taught. Apprentice goes to learn how to create, how to come up with a utility or a viable piece of work, or what we call a piece of art that can be enjoyed, that either can be eaten or can be worn. Craftswoman. Her name again. Or an artist, or a creative person. The Bible had some people, Oholiab and Bezalel, who were skilled in their work of art, and God mentioned them by name and gave them an assignment that this is your responsibility, and I have put it into you. So putting it into it means a responsibility that has been given to you, having recognized what you can do with your hand. So the work of the temple, the fabrication on the woods and the doors of the temple in those days were craftily carried out by people of skills like Oholiab and Bezalel, who were given that responsibility. And Moses was spoken to talk to them and said, this is what you are supposed to do. So craft, in its sense, summarily, is the ability to skillfully come up with a functional product that can be used as an end product of it.
Well explained.
Yeah. Well, looking at this explanation and then narrowing it to this our own present environment, this catchment area, which you find out that most people don't see craft as anything that someone can just dive into. And then from the introduction, from your first degree to where you are now, there's a link. And when explaining what craft is, you mentioned wisdom. So permit me to ask, what wisdom, do you use, in order to direct you to this path which you have chosen? And can you just paint a picture of your journey so far?
Thank you. My journey so far, interesting. A very vivid analogy. After graduation from my secondary school, we were wondering what we were going to study. But I loved art. I loved art. So I was painting. I was drawing. I was always making out time to create something I could use, like weaving something from a palm front, weaving cap, weaving a small bag, so I could use, to put my pencils and brushes inside. Then we couldn't get what to, because we didn't have the orientation, like you would have career sessions in schools where you would be guided on what to study. So I quickly went to SPS Kefi. While in Kefi, I was thinking of what I was going to study. So I did JAM 1995. Then I did another JAM in 1997, and I applied to study CRK.
Wow.
So my uncle said, you finish CRK, we'll go and build a church for you. That scared me. My father was a pastor, and we what we passed through, with pastors and percentages that time. So he said, you finish, we'll go and build church for you. But cathedral, he mentioned cathedral. So if I had known how cathedral was in Jos, I would have said, I wanted, because the cathedral in Jos was big. But village man from Mongu, I was like, okay. So I changed. And I wrote fine arts because I wanted to do fine arts. and I went to study fine arts.
Mm.
During my second year in the university, I came back home with my assignments and I gave it to my dad because I scored very high marks.
Mm.
I was expecting a tap and a pat on the back, so when he got through my script, he saw 60, 70, 60, 70. I thought he was going to say, well done.
Mm.
He now said, in Hausa, so drawing no kunai. I got demoralized. Drawing now. It's drawing now. So this is what you went to the university to do. Their perception about the university was completely different from what we were doing in the university until when I came to 200 level. I think I was going to 300 level, and I was able to produce a work of art, and I sold it for 1,000. 1998, 1,000 naira was not a small money.
Sure.
Yes.
And my school fee was 700 naira. So by the time I got home, I told him that I paid my school fees. He said, how? I said, I sold a painting. He said, Abu Nakung, how can he? By December, I sold a painting and I bought Christmas clothes for my younger brother.
Wow.
By 300 level, I was able to give them money to buy rice for Christmas. I was always shocking them during Christmas. I would just do a small painting. Then by 400 level, I came across a man who was very instrumental to my rising in the art. May his soul rest in peace. Mr. Dan Tenshak. Mr. Dan Tenshak is a television man, is a media person. So the journey began. And I'd already developed my ability to act. So I decided to go back for my master's in theater arts. Then I had started teaching with the University of Jos to help build, both my visual and my performative component of the arts. And I went back again to do a PhD in painting. And there are only 3 of us on the plateau who have PhD in painting. And
I can really imagine the journey.
So we were developing, like you said, wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to apply something into use. And I felt that art should be an area where I could delve in and do whatever it was that I have acquired in terms of environmental influence, in terms of peer group influence, in terms of colleague and friends influence, and the rest of them, where I can interpret them in painting. Here, the painting becomes a subject of discourse now, where you raise issues, whether it is social, economic, political, administration, and so on and so forth. Now, in this component, because I did painting, I can relate with these stories, these influences with colors. Because the colors speak on themselves. That is a medium through which I do my exposition and so on. So if you are building a group of artists, you are building a group of creators. Because the artist is a creator. What we do here is creative. The ability to hang the microphone to us so we can talk is creative. That if I cannot bring the microphone close to my mouth, the sound cannot be trapped and the communication cannot be sent to the various outlets where it can be aired. So there is a limit to which this piece can. So everything is artistic. Now in this area we have the sound engineer who is creatively involved in the production of sound and letting it out. We also have the studio plan engineer, the technical design theater, who is responsible for the set that we are enjoying. And when you come here with a particular color of a fabric, it has a way it interweaves with the background and sends the color to the viewer who is sitting at home to see whether it is going to be a therapy to him or a hazard to his view. So the creative world involves a lot of people coming from different dimensions. It's multidimensional. It is multifaceted in the real sense of the word. So the artist who deals with color is the same as artist who deals with sound, because there are elements that you combine to give you a sense of appeal, or a sense of repel. Whichever way you're coming, whichever angle you're coming from, there is a point at which you create a contract and a view, and you create an evaluation at the end of the day, whether it was positive or negative. So that is what the artist is saddled with. He also sees the world from the world of color, the world of a discourse, in the world of politics, and the world of appreciation. So how do you appreciate the work of the artist? Because the wisdom in him, just as the wisdom of the sound designer, just as the wisdom of the technical artist who is responsible for studio setting, just as this wisdom in the visual mixer who is behind the console, is the same thing as the artist who uses color, brushes, who uses spatula for sculpture, who uses brushes for painting, who uses pencil for graphics design, and all the other medium of the art in itself embedded to give you an entity, which is a work and a piece of art for you to appreciate. So this journey has evolved over a period of time. I between the time I got to the university and now is 25, 24 years or thereabout. From 1997 to now is about it's a long time. I don't old.
I can really imagine.
I would want to ask, over the course of the journey, this long journey you've had, what were some of the challenges that you faced? When you were speaking earlier on, you talked about what your dad was saying.
My father was the first challenge.
So it is drawing you were doing. So what were those challenges that you faced? Seeing that we're in a world where parents would want their children to go and be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be a banker, and all of that, but you chose painting and you're doing exceedingly well there. So what were the challenges?
I looked forward to this question because this question always arises, and these are the core of what we face when you are doing non-professional. Now this is what they say, non-professional.
True.
Every course, everything you study, as long as the course is accredited in the university, is professional.
In fact, I've heard a professor said that it was during an exhibition display of theater art students.
Yes.
And while he was lecturing, they were doing their display, and he said, how can a parent allow his child to come to the university to come and study a course like that? A young boy was also sharing his experience with his father, how that each time because of his interest and passion, each time he comes home, he tries to draw something. He can be conversing with you and he start drawing you. So and he wants you to see it and he wants you to appreciate it. And then what he gets from the father, every day you are drawing zane like that. So like she asked, how did you navigate through this challenge to get to, when I saw PhD in painting.
I want to cry, but I won't cry.
Don't cry.
I will not cry.
Don't cry, please.
Please don't cry.
In secondary school, it's so bad that art as a subject is placed at the last period.
Yes.
So it's everywhere. Come on, Masubin Yesuni. You know, anywhere you go, they're always against you.
I think in primary school they called you drawing.
Drawing.
Yes.
So
We have drawing class.
No, but interestingly again, I will tell you that I studied drawing and painting, and I speak better English than someone who went to read English. And I'm proud that I studied. In fact, I love saying I studied drawing and painting because I teach drawing and painting in the university. Whether you like it or yes, that one is left for you to argue. But these are the challenges we pass through. What I study in the university, find out, can you draw me? So it's the summary is about drawing. And of course, yes, I can. Give me a pencil, give me a paper, give me a space, I draw you, you drop your money, I go. So when I keep collecting the money and you went to study English, you went to study law, you went to study pharmacy, you're waiting for a job to come. The pharmacy you study, you end up in a pharmacy. Sometimes some people don't even produce simple malaria drug from Nemijin. Is it Nemijin Goro? Dogong Yaru. So you study pharmacy and you work in a pharmaceutical chemist. So is that the pharmacy that our parents talked about when we're coming to school? Is that the pharmacy parents are going up and down? Na some pharmacy come medicine. When you have doctoring, where Allah please na so you're current doctoring. I say okay, what a doctor. So is that the pharmacy? Is that the medicine? Is that the law? Is that the criminology? That criminology is good. My cousin My cousin, her daughter wants to study theater. She said, I'm not talking about 20 years ago. I'm talking about now. The admission has not come out yet.
Yes.
So, criminology is fine. We don't. I personally do not discriminate against a field of research. Today, I discuss market. I discuss economy. I discuss politics. I discuss government via my ability to go to school. That is why it is called a university. It is not a secondary school. The university makes you universal. So you have access to making research that will make contribution to knowledge, to the society, and to people. Today I studied fine art. Today I'm happy that I'm an artist. I'm happy that I'm comfortable. I'm happy that I'm going forward to making an impact to the society. I'll give you an instance. Today we're missing Maman Tabgun. Have you been in Jos for a long time? You know Maman Tabgun? Today we're missing Maman Tabgun. For obvious reasons, some of these reasons are best known to individuals. But we're missing Maman Tabgun. The artist sculpted a woman with a representation of her environment. And then she was placed at the center of a city. And people made references to her in different dimensions based on their encounter. Today, we do not have access to it because it was destroyed some time ago. People have come from Mongo and passed to Bauchi because they told them, they didn't know that they had removed the Mamantabgun that time. So they passed and went to Bauchi. They're looking for Mamantabgun.
Oh my goodness.
They said, we're seeing Bauchi. You didn't see the Mamantabgun? No. Okay, come back to Bauchi Road. They came back to just, they said, Allah, where is Mamantabgun? They said, they have removed her. Oh no. So that, today we talk about it as a landmark history. As something that is connecting us to where we were at some point in time. Today, we talk about main market. Main market used to be a hub for economic activities.
True.
It was artistically and architecturally designed. So why would you think that the artist does not have a place in the society? Everything you see was architecturally designed. Architecture is an extension of art. Today, architecture and fine arts are in the same faculty. You mentioned Faculty of Arts earlier. It's in the Faculty of Environmental Science. In Zaria is environmental design. In Jos is environmental science. In other universities, it's in the Faculty of Environmental Design. In Fulafia is environmental design. Because we deal with the environment and the environmental influences. The artist discusses issues. And the issues are a respondent to our daily chores and daily activities, expanding from religion to politics to economics and to everything that you can think of. So the artist is multifaceted in terms of discourses. And when it comes to maybe painting, for example, the artist picks an item to study. And he makes the research and discusses and provides solution. So I have faced several challenges as to, so fine art nezaka karanta, so you want to be an artist, so you want to be this, you want to be that. And I'll bring home money to my father. I would say I sold a painting. There was a time I did a painting of masks. So during a Christmas festival in my area, my church would come to my house and dance and clap and get food to eat and the rest of them. So one woman came and saw the drawings. I left them outside to dry because of the medium oil color. She shouted, Jesus, Mayu, blood of Jesus. And I was not there, so she was shouting. The woman is from Bokos. I have to mention the name of the place because she married my uncle. So she shouted, Mayu, 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 Mayu. And they said, this is what Dankes Ephraim is studying in the university, painting witches. And now, but at least I painted the witch. At least I was able to see the witch and paint. So
that people will see I recognize them around.
So I said, yes, you said Mayu. So I said, for you to identify that this is Maya, you too are Maya. So me, I'm Maya. I see Maya. I painted Maya. We grew up in that direction. And when I said I wanted to go and study PhD in fine art, I can assure you, let me speak like government. I can assure you that there were people who were thinking, I can take a PhD. Who will I go and do the PhD in if not painting? So maybe as time goes on, I'll tell you how issues are raised, as an artist, how you discuss. So we kept following until we are where we are. We are where we are today in the world of art. And then we're where we are as artists, even though we didn't read art. Before you came out, you had to look for the textile material you were going to wear. I asked, what is this? You say props. I teach props in the university. I teach design and technical theater. So I teach props in the university, which are properties. I teach costume in the university. So whatever you use for a purpose of representation on stage becomes a prop. And we're utilizing it here. So if we didn't study it, who would have known that this is what we would use? You carefully selected this. A pink, on the dress you're wearing. It has to match with this, has to match with your hair, has to match with the shoe you're putting on. And if you're going to have a bag, it must match with it. So that is textile design.
So, while you were just talking, sorry to cut you, talking about the challenges and then the discrimination, do you not think that this is what has translated into the society, seeing how people do not even appreciate? I mean, when you go around the society or the environment, you see art in play. You talked about dress, you go to the market, you see works of art. But coming to this part of the world, how did you navigate, like growing to that stage, even studying PhD in painting, teaching painting and drawing in his? You talked about selling and then doing some exhibition and selling. But today you hear people say, I think I've interacted with somebody that is into painting, and he says he will always talk about how that in this part of the world it is not appreciated. Other part of the world you see how it's appreciated and people pay well for it. But today you put a lot of effort, and at the end of the day, like, people just see it like you don't have work doing. And so how do you navigate your way through that?
Well, I find it interesting talking about my art. And sometimes you force your way into, if it's Africa, you force yourself into it. Just like, I wanted to say, just like our president came, to become the president of Nigeria.
Thank God you did not say it.
No, I didn't say it.
Okay.
But when you force yourself into something, you force yourself into getting people to know it. Just like forcing yourself into the heart of a woman to make her like you. The initial gra and then the rest of them. Eventually, you tell her, I should be in my house, you did now. Any gra for you. And then she will laugh. And it becomes something that you discuss all over again. But we have built a thick skin, trying to making people appreciate art. You can't make somebody appreciate art by force. But it was because we went to school. People who didn't go to school are craftsmen. This clothes I'm putting on, I just got the design from the internet, and I gave the tailor who is seeking for admission into the university.
Wow.
This is what the tailor did.
Wow.
I wish the camera can zoom on the design. They went to the design, they went to the tailor, and the tailor had a machine. So he went and learned somewhere as an apprentice. Today he designs. Now art is a deliberate making of a composed elements. When you bring this and this and this together, it's just like a woman cooking a goosey soup now. How you bring different varieties and bring them together, everybody is an artist. Whether you like it or yes, you want to cook a goosey soup, you bring the ingredients. How you differentiate between a goosey and Eddie Kankong and cooker is the same way the artist does their job or his job. So that's how we do it. Now, you didn't go to school, but you learn. Now, we went to school, and then we're telling you that this is how these things should be. We're not asking you to come and buy it. And when you see a work of art, say this is beautiful now.
All right, you have an exhibition that is coming up from 2nd to 7th. And it is delineating the Jos Bond main market. And when you talk about Jos main market, like, it's a lot of memories, a lot of things to say. But you have an exhibition coming up from 2nd to... What's the inspiration behind this? And can you speak to us on what
my
to expect?
inspiration is transformational. Transformation. That is my inspiration. The market was a hope of economic activities. It was an exciting place. It was a place of life, hustling, bustling. People were coming in and going. It was a tourism site. It was the largest indoor market in West Africa. People came from different parts of the world to see the main market. So everybody was excited just to come and see it. My lecturer, Professor Jerry Buhari, would take a holiday with his family and come to Jos. The first point was to see the Just Men Market. Then he go back to his hotel. The people came from different places to see Just Men Market. When you approached the market from the place where it was not burnt, those stars, those Maggie Cube, those, yellow
it's
shaped.
on the screen actually
Yes.
for people to see.
This is even after it was burnt.
Burnt.
There is the
Yes.
painting of the market before it was burnt. I wish we can
It
go
will
to
come
it.
up.
There's a painting of the market before it was burnt. That was the center of Plateau State. That was the best in Nigeria. It was the best in West Africa. It was the best, I think, almost in Africa. If you permit me, I will say it. And then in 2002, we woke up to a disillusionment, a catastrophe, a danger, a havoc that we have yet to recover from this. And unfortunately, I was there. I stayed in Dogon Kerfi, so we had the explosions. And then by 6 a.m., I had started walking from Dogon Kerfi to Terminus to get where the smoke was coming from in 2002. And 22 years later, I was there in the university writing a research on the Just Men Market. So the inspiration is transformational. The inspiration is, where do we go from here? The inspiration is, the discarded could become useful. If you go to a tailor's shop where his materials are being cut off, if you buy a material and take to a tailor, he cuts off some. They uses some and dumps some and disposes some. Those ones that are for disposal, the artist collects them and recreates a work we call collage. You know how do you do picture collage when you bring them together? We also do a collage with fabrics that are off cut. So that will tell you that nothing is useless as far as life is concerned. Even human beings, you give them an opportunity to become useful. I was impressed by the place of bond. I was impressed by the place of abandonment. I was impressed by the place of discarding. I was impressed by a place of decay. And just Terminus, after it was burned, became a place of decay. This painting, the previous painting was a painting of the market before it was burnt. This particular painting, you see the Mamantabgun, right?
Yes.
You see the Terminus. You see the people around the Terminus walking. This is the main market. Terminus is a further place away from here where the trains used to come and stay as a terminal. That's where everybody ends. But this is the Just Men Market. Those stars are symbolic. They are motifs that once you see it, you are confronted with marketplace. Yellow. Yellow is a color of excitement. So everybody was excited in the market until it was burnt. These colors that we see, maybe the next painting, this color that we see, and every vibrant excitement and everything was subsumed by the inferno. The market was burnt. So the colors were muted. They were no longer vibrant again. They were no longer talking. So the ash covered them. The ash made them to become dull, dormant, very useless. So when you go to a place of bond, everything becomes charred. And so you can't recognize anything. So the colors we see now, we don't see them again because the market was burned. So that is my story. I captured the market before it was burned. I captured the market after it was burned. This is a disintegration of the Just Men Market in parts, in pieces, without any form of hope whether it's going to be. So I call this one disintegration of the market. You can see the yellow stars standing there, no longer yellow again. The color has been burnt into burnt orange and the rest of them. That is what the artist has captured. So my story is captured in colors. That the market was lively, but the market was burnt. Now, what I am saying is that there is life in the place of death. If something has died, even if you leave it to decompose, by 6 days later, if you go there, you will see worms coming from. So the worms are living organisms, as in there's life in the place of death. So we shouldn't lose hope. That is a discourse. That is the issue that the artist is raising and is writing. That I captured the story of the market, and I also captured the resilience of the people, their ability to adapt to what has happened, trying to build the market again now, not the physical market, but building the surviving or the survival tragedy tactics. How do we survive? How do we come from the dust? How do we come from the charred environment? How do we become useful to ourselves? So the market now, metaphorically, is a place of your economic viability. Now that it is gone, do you die with it?
No.
Of course, there were people who died, possibly. There were people who also suffered shock. But there are people who have come out of the shock and they are moving forward. So that is my discourse. That is my point. So in my exhibition, which comes up on the 2nd of October to 5th to 7th of October, you are confronted with the works. You're confronted with the works I researched in my PhD. The title of my research in PhD was An Aesthetic Delineation of the Just Bond Market in Painting. So I used painting to delineate, to graphically give a story of how the market was, what the market was when it was being burnt, the situation of the market after it was burnt, the situation of the market now, and what I feel, what I think suggestively should be the station of the market.
So what should people expect, coming from the idea of you putting this one, this exhibition? So what people expect?
People will have different expectations because like I said, we have difficulty explaining art to people. Even when you say that they are artists in themselves, they will tell you, I can't draw a cup. So, but artists do not only draw. Artists also talk. Artists write. Artists do a lot of things. Poets, they talk. And so you must not draw. But can you appreciate what the person who has drawn has done? So art is a conglomeration of people having an organized forum to do and to appreciate that Jesus began to do and to teach. So there were things that he was doing and there were things that he was teaching, and there were people who were listening. Of course, even people who listened to Christ, none of them had exactly what he was saying. There was a point he said, if you do not eat my body and eat my flesh and drink my blood, you are not worthy to follow me. They say, and even the people who were close to him were finding his teachings very hard. As in, okay, bring this temple and I'll build it in 3 days. 46 years? And then you want to do it in 3 years? Who is you are? You can imagine the hair. So, and they said to him on the cross, so do it now. This is the difficulty we're having. But of course, we have to live with these people. It's my field. You must not understand it. As I mustn't understand your own field. So when you are teaching me, I become an illiterate. And when I'm willing to learn, I learn. So when you come to the exhibition, I'm expecting that you would be confronted with what you have known in different dimensions. The artist historifies. The artist engages you with what has happened before. When we talk about knock art, for example, we talk about the art of a people who didn't go to school on the plateau, but lived 2,000 years before Christ or after Christ, before Christ. And they produced a domestic utensil that couldn't break for over 2,000 years, were found on the alluvial deposit of the Jos mining sites. They found them. So we wondered how they fired those clay beyond breakage. For 2,000 years, a clay was on the ground, and still now, if you drop it on the ground, it doesn't break. If you drop this cup, it will break. They didn't go to school. They were not told that what they were doing was art. We gave it a name, art. That means we are giving a name to something that someone has done with their hands. And so everybody is an artist to every extent.
True.
You become creative. You are an artist. Someone said that they are cooking rice with Irish, with sweet potato. Like, the thing was very sweet. They didn't know. You are beginning to get a lot of things. They are cooking soup with pawpaw leaf. There are a lot of things. I saw somewhere that somebody mashed carrots and cooked fufu with it and then made soup. And you are telling me that we are not creative. So if you are not creative, how will you survive? If they leave you in a house that there is no whatever, you will look for how to survive.
I've had watermelon stew as well.
And it makes sense. You eat watermelon. I took it one day and I was closing my eyes. You know, when something is oversweet, there's a way you close your eyes. You want to imagine and assume so that nobody will distract you. At that point, you eat. You don't even drink water because you will go and destroy. So the artists is done a work. The people coming to see are people who will be either nostalgic, memorial, empathic, sorrowful, whichever way it is. Art has a way of making you feel terrible, making you feel excited. So you have seen a painting of Terminus and you could connect to it because you know it. Now, anybody who was born in 2000 would not connect to it. But a story will be told that some time ago, this was the just main market that we come to see every day that we come to the market. They always see a bond structure or a dilapidated structure, but they do not know how the flesh was before it became skeleton. So we are creating a story that some time ago there was a market. We are hoping that something will come, physical construct of a market will come. After they rebuilt the Solomon's temple, the children were excited. They were jumping.
True.
But the elders were quiet. They said, you don't know the glory of the... So maybe if a building is made now, some people will be excited. The best market. Or somebody will be saying, you didn't see Terminus. You didn't see main market when it was main market. So these are stories that artists interject in the society. And if you're not, except even if you are a dead person, you know that somebody said that that flood carried a building, a mortuary building, and 2 dead bodies died. So they died. So even if you are dead, you must be an artistic person. Because of the clothes they will wear, they will prepare you for burial, they will do cosmetics and the rest of them. The Egyptians prepared their bodies for burial very, very fantastically. That they expected whoever died would live after he was buried. They believed in the God of the sun. So if the sun rose, they believed that it was for them. If the sun set, they believed it was shining in the other world. So that world the sun is shining, as we send you forth to, or send you off to that place, please go and tell them that we were beautiful people here. So they prepare, they embalm, they make the person live. In the Egyptian way, they give him some utensils. When you go give them, let them know that we're good in this place. Look at the decorative. That was the height of artistic excellence, amongst the Egyptians, which of course we have. It is the African. So if you want to talk about expectation of people, you should be expecting something that you have been used to it, but you are seeing it from a different perspective. And an artist has come with a color. When you see a woman come out with contour, they say the contour bar. They say that it makes the nose point. But the pointing of the nose is psychological. It is not real because your nose is still as flat as it was before you came out. But psychologically, the moment I see, because the pixel in the contour, the component of the cosmetic appears to be embossing, appears to be coming out. So in a flash of a moment, it looks as if it is coming out. So you don't have to be looking at her so much. That's why if a woman wears those kind of things, she doesn't stay in one place. so that you don't concentrate on looking at her nose. So but that is artistic. Whatever she does is artistic. So we're looking at something we're used to in a different way. I'm looking at your nose, I'm used to seeing in a different way because you have embossed it. So it's coming as if it's coming out from your body. That is art. Sculpture is an embossed form of art. Even on the wall, these are embossed materials. They are a sense to which you can touch, you can feel, you can go around and appreciate that this is a work of art done differently. So the expectation of the people is that they are seeing another version of Plateau, just men market in a different
Where's
form.
the event taking place?
They call it the Magnet Cafe. It's an architectural firm. When you're coming from Zaramaganda, if you're used to Jos, if you're coming from Zaramaganda, access on your way to Rayfield, there is a railway. After the railway to your right, there is an eatery called Happiness Eatery. I love using the eatery because once you hear food, you would want to come to the exhibition.
Connect.
So at the Happiness, the next building to Happiness Eatery is Magnet Cafe. It's a coffee center actually, and a firm, architectural firm, who has which has a provision to host exhibitions and so on. So it's a very lovely environment, nice car park, and a nice environmental what do we call ventilation. You just get into there and you see the works hang well littered. You have access to interact with the paintings even when the artist is not around. So the paintings are legended, they are tagged. You see the title of the painting, the medium, and the size. Then there's a little writing to further give you, like I said, they were works from my research. So I extracted the legends and what I wrote, as my commentary, as my discourse on the research, so you can have access to understanding, most especially those works that are highly abstracted. What you see are colors, and those works, those colors are just a semblance, a symbolism that the colors that we lost before the market was born, we're going to recover them. That's what the artist is saying.
That's a great one.
Okay,
And
so
I would like to ask that you encourage the young people that are upcoming, those that are in the shoes that you wore long time ago, either struggling to go for what they really want or what they are expected to do. So you encourage them.
Yeah, I wanted to say that because we must change a narrative. It's not about exposure, experience. A lot, honestly. One of the families of the royal families in UK is an artist. I'm trying to remember his name. Is it George and his son were artists, painters. They painted the royal families. One had to leave their environment. One had to leave the royal line to go pursue their career. Our parents, African parents, have serious problems. I have
the
said
encouragement, more importantly, to the parents.
yes,
Because
to the parents.
I know a lot of young people that had to give away this art or craft because of their parents.
I am
notion.
saying it with every categorical sense. I wish this is good English. But our parents have not and never helped issues. I am praying. I am a parent. I am wishing that I could encourage my children to read what they want. I will just tell you that this course is as long as the course is read in the university, go and read. If that is your, is it not a person, a red CRK that is managing Jai's Bank in one state like that? I don't want to mention. He's my friend. He read IRK. He's a banker. If he digests economic influence and going out and whatever profit for you, you would not want to think. And he doesn't have anything that is connected to banking. And so we in Africa, the society will make you know what you're supposed to do. It will just push you to know what you're supposed to do. So if the son or the daughter wishes to study art, please let her read. In fine arts, a lady had 235. She wants to study fine arts. She came to the department. My head of department said, with 235, even the head of department was shocked. 235, you want to read theater arts, fine arts? She said she will read theater, fine arts. There was nothing the mother couldn't do. The mother is a permanent secretary in this government. There was nothing she couldn't do. The girl said it's fine arts. So because there was no fine admission that year, they admitted them and pushed them to a department close to ours to stay there so that they will maintain their matric number. We accredited the course this year and we're doing admission. We have assimilated them. We have brought them back to the department. She said she wants to do fine art. Her first daughter is doing theater arts. The mother said that is their passion. They should follow it. In theater arts, where I started teaching before I want to say this before I will close. A parent, a father who was a pastor said he was not going to pay the tuition fee of his child because he is Kenya theater arts. So he met me and he told me. I said, let me write him a letter. My father was a pastor. His classmate in Bible school converted to Islam. So I wrote the father, the boy's father, who knew the story. I wrote him. I said, if you said that the people who study theater arts are in Iska, it means all of us are in Iska, and I'm writing very Iskan Chiliba. So I'm writing you with a very perfect writing of the Iska. So I chose to write with my hand instead of typing like Paul will say. So I'm writing with my hand. I said, remember Hanani Malami? I mentioned the man's name. I said he read theology and converted to Islam. Who could be more than Iska? So it is not about the course. It is about the mindset of the individual. And if someone who read theology could get converted to any religion differently, so what do you talk about other courses that God is not even mentioned in it, except if the God is mentioned in the process of acknowledging his superiority. But if you're talking about the course of program, we'll be talking about what the course entails. We only bring God when we want to acknowledge God's superiority. But God is mentioned throughout theology. And even arguments are raised and the rest of them. So I wrote to him. Then the next year, the boy was the first to resume. He came with his money and showed me that he was going to pay school fees. That his father listened to him. I never met the father until one day we went for a retirement service of my father's classmate in Bible school. So he gave me a lift because my car spoiled. So we're now greeting. Do you know me? He said, no, he doesn't know me. I said, my name is Dankes Ephraim. You remember? I said, no, he can't remember. I said, I was the one who wrote you that letter. So which letter? I said, the letter that made you pay your son's school fees. He said, Jesus. I said, yes, I am the one, sir. And I anchored the program of the send-off. I also interpreted the message by the preacher to Hausa from English. So I interpreted, and he was excited. He was, and I said, so I now said, I was the one who wrote that letter to you because I teach in theater arts and I'm not a Iska. He said, that was the perception they had. So even in the school where we teach, our department is facing a window of a different course. They think we always dance. We dance because dance is a course is a course in the theater. So you have to hear the sound of drum during that course. But you cannot hear the sound of anything when I am teaching in a class. And so you only hear the sound that dancing is taking place because it requires drumming. So you cannot conclude that it is only dance, even call it dance 101.
Yes, that's the general impression. Dance 101. Dance
so
101.
When you said mass comm, a student came. I taught journalism some few times, and a lady came. We're interviewing her. Why do you want to come and study mass comm? I want to be a broadcaster. Who is your mentor? Eugenia Abu. I said, Eugenia, do you know that she didn't read mass comm? She said, Jesus, what did she read? She said, Eugenia Abu. She now mentioned Nansel Nime. I said, Nansel Nime didn't study it yet. Mass comm. So what did he study? I said, theater arts. What of Eugenia? I said she read English. She carried her hands, whether she had 4 hands or 5 hands, she put it on her head. She was young. But I told them, I said, go ahead and enjoy what you want to do. At least you had a drive. Please, our parents should make a point that studying is a passion. Let them follow their hearts. Encourage them. Give them the necessary support to excel in their fields of endeavor. Ben Carson didn't know where he was going to be. But by 1987, he was the world best surgeon. Is it neurosurgeon? No. One surgeon like that. At least he was the best. He was the best in his that he separated the Siamese twins, right? And it was a very successful one, and they are surviving now. So everyone has their pros and the cons, the good and the bad. There are medical doctors who are trekking from Terminus to Bukuru now because they can't do anything. There are lawyers who cannot change their tie. So I had to take one lawyer for lunch. We graduated same year and he couldn't buy lunch. I bought lunch. He was so excited. I bought lunch for him. I'm just saying that there are the bad ones and the good ones. So when you are, let me speak like my friend, if you are tenacious, I'm sure the last time you spoke that language, you didn't know what it meant. But when you're consistent, we're committed, you're tenacious, you are persistent in your field of art, there's nowhere you cannot go. As I'm talking to you, my head of department is in Turkey. He's exhibiting at Turkey, one of the best hotels in Turkey. The Turkish government paid everything about them, including their return ticket, everything about them. The one was to carry their bags, pay money from here to Abuja. Even the money from here to Abuja was paid from the Turkish government. They are exhibiting the art of Africa, African culture. So what are we not saying?
In fact, the Bible went ahead to tell us that, have you seen a man diligent?
Skilled in his job.
He will serve before kings. So whatever art or whatever crafts you find yourself doing, I think it's just important.
Here? I'm standing before kings. People, I'm standing before Equa television.
The world is watching.
The world is watching me.
Yeah.
So I am talking. I am talking like an. See, I'm an authority now in anything I say in art is correct.
Sure. You are. So you see, we really appreciate you, and we thank you for making our time to actually come and speak with us. I'm very sure that a lot of young people out there that have been thinking, should I leave this line? Should I continue? See, my dad is against me. Would want to take this clip to their parent to watch and
Please,
see.
they should.
And I'm sure they are also encouraged to continue. I mean, when I was going through your profile, I was like, wow, I can imagine like the sea you had to cross and all of that, but you are where you are today. So it means if we are tenacious with our craft, we will get there. Like regardless, we just need to get to a point where what people say about us does not define where we are headed. But let's look out for our passion. Let's look out to solving problem and being a solution to the world. Thank you so much, Mr. Dakes, for creating time to speak with us.
It's my pleasure. I wanted to say that God mentions artists by name. This Ohaleya and Bezalel were mentioned by name. God called them. He mentioned them. So there is no profession that is retarded. No, everyone has their time of upliftment. And when the time comes, Elijah will say, the Lord has sent me to Gilgal. Please, Elisha, wait for me. He said, surely as God lives, I shall not leave you. I will go. Let's go. I say, okay, the Lord has asked me to go to, please wait here. No, you don't wait. When there is a call of God on you for a particular purpose, go ahead. Even when at the point he was losing it, they said, okay, when you see me, go. That means if Elisha had not seen Elijah going, he probably wouldn't have gotten the mantle. And so if you had not, so it means that there is a commitment to seeing what you are pursuing. So everyone, like diligent in what you do, you stand before kings and not under the people, and that is a very strong point that is coming from you. It's keeping us alive and it's keeping us moving. I tell my students that, wallahi, I will give you reason to study fine arts. I will not appear poor, and all this fuel issue that I'm doing, I will make sure that I drive my car every day. I'll tell you that it's from the car, it's from the art that I'm following my car, it's from commitment. I have done comedy. I started with comedy, then I entered into the practice fully. And one of the reasons I was admitted to teach in the University of Jos was because the vice chancellor saw me in the place of comedy and felt I could fit in some part in the university. Because I told him, I said, sir, I'm not only a comedian, I had a degree with a good class of degree. So the moment I said good class of degree, he now asked me to come and see him. By the time he was announced vice chancellor, he quickly gave me a job into the university. So I was working with the information unit and teaching in the theater, and I was building my profile, going up until I am what I am, and I'm what I am going to be, because I'm moving.
I think we should have a part 2 of this discussion.
Yeah,
because
sure.
Our time is actually fast spent. Maybe after the exhibition, we should come and have a review of the whole of it. Thank you so much for creating time with us.
Thank you.
And thank you, my teammates. Really appreciate you. Of course, we'll be here tomorrow. And to our viewers out there, hope that you have a take home, especially as regard making the most of your craft. The works of Mr. Dakes Ephraim transcend beyond painting, but theater and even academia. And I hope this serves as an encouragement to you out there. We hope to be here tomorrow, same time, with another inciting discussion as regards life. You have a blessed day. Thank you, Equa Executive. Thank you to our crew. We appreciate you for doing this with us. You have a great day. Bye-bye.